enjoyed this week's episode, and please like this video, share with your friends and dock mates, and subscribe to our channel. It really helps us get more viewers like you.
Hey, y'all. Guess what? We have some free time. So where are we at? We're on the boat. On the boat. I actually really like being here. I like doing boat work. And I like you guys. So come along and join me today on this fantastic journey. Where we left off was we had epoxied. Just kidding. Well, we did epoxy. So epoxied, one side each. So this is all of our water tank, I guess side to side bracing. This is our water tank floor over here, base, and all of this goes on the port side. So the floor is epoxied on both sides, so I can install that. These are epoxied on just one side. So what I'm thinking about doing is getting this ready for installation, which means I gotta pull the tape off and sand, because when you pull the tape off, I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but it leaves like just a little sharp edge of dried epoxy, and I don't want that. I don't want to cut my hands any more than I have, like that one right there, if you can see it. It's healed up pretty good, but anywho, so I'm going to prep that one for installation by pulling off the tape, sanding it, and getting it ready to go. Then while that one's ready to go, I'm going to flip these over and epoxy the other side. Epoxy? No epoxy. Do that for 1, 2, 3. When those have epoxy on them, I will go back to this one and I will install this basically final. Yeah, I don't see why this one wouldn't be final. And then coming back over here, that way these can dry while I install that. And then when these are dry, I can put those in over there. Okay, one of the things we may not have explicitly shared with you about these, the way I'm doing these captive nuts is it's really hard to get alignment. And let me just show you what we're dealing with, because we've got a nut that's basically epoxied in, it's epoxied into the fiberglass. And then we're going through the plastic shim and through the wooden support board, and everything's got to be perfectly aligned for your screw to go into your captive nut. And it's kind of tough to get, and there's some wiggling and waggling and adjusting and shimmying, and so I'll show you a good one. But it's only that way because our hole's extra big in the wood, and we were able to shimmy it around. So check this out. So it might be hard to see. You can kind of see it. Yeah, see the nut down in there? It's really hard to see. But anyways, if that's not perfectly aligned, you ain't getting your nut or your screw in your nut. Your screw's not going in the nut. So I think that's just the nature of the way I designed this. One thing we noticed when we were putting in the captive nut, it would kind of float in the in the epoxy that we used, the nut kind of floated around and moved around, and if it wasn't if it's not perfectly straight up and down, it's really hard to get your screw in. Anyway, just wanted to share that, because if you decide to do something like this, maybe my recommendation would be do your glue up with the captive nut and the screw and your piece all together, and then pull it off, pull it apart. Yeah, that's kind of like the only way I could think about doing it differently, is just glue up everything when it's installed, let that dry, and then pull it apart and see if you got it right. But anyway, if you have any other ideas, let me know. But yeah, the next time we do this, I'll probably be trying it in a different way, because I do like this method. It just, you know, it just avoids puncturing wood or puncturing fiberglass with holes, and I don't want more holes in this boat. There's plenty of holes in this boat, so and we want to keep moisture away from our structure. So I do like the captured nut method for that reason. It's just a little finicky and not quite as easy as if I was just gonna drill a screw into this fiberglass. Like, that's the easiest way to go. But again, it has its downsides. So I do prefer this, even though it's not quite as easy. But that's the way it goes. This is a yacht of love. This isn't a yacht of easy. This is a yacht of love. So we got to keep going. We got to do things right. And well, I don't know about right. I'm doing things in the best way that I think, that I understand and that I know how, which is rooted in some research and studying and some decent experience, but a decent experience aboard sailboats and fixing boats. But you know, I'm no expert, so we're learning together. All right, I'm gonna keep wiggling. I got one end over here, just, you know, kind of loose, and then that one's gonna go in no problem. These two over here are gonna be a lot harder. So, all right, let's keep going. All right, got the board in, got the screws in. 1, 2, 3, 4. It took a little bit of wiggling, like I said. So one thing to think about too is galling. So stainless steel threads have a tendency to gall, and if you cross thread them if you cross thread your captive nut, woo, how are you gonna get that out? Like, you can grind the epoxy out and all that to get your captive nut out, but maybe you re-tap the nut. You could try that if you have some taps. But I mean, honestly, like, you gotta get it lined up pretty darn good, or else you're wiggling and waggling, and then you risk cross threading and galling. But it's in, it's down. I'm not bringing it back up unless I absolutely have to, and I don't think I have to.